I think we're recording. Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. This is the Reds Report. It could be morning. It could be the evening. It could be even early morning. It could be late evening. It could be the middle of the night. Who knows when you're watching this? In the land of YouTube, we're here again. Another week's gone by somewhere. It's disappeared into the abyss. On the show today, we have my friend, my Dutch friend, Carlo van der Wateren.
How are we doing?
All right. I'm sleepy.
What day is it, Chris? Just help me out.
I think it's Friday.
Oh, that's good.
I didn't sleep very well last night, and then I got up early today. I've been helping a friend with some plastering because I'm nice like that. What a workout that is, but it shattered me out. I've just nodded off on the sofa and realised that Rory Fallon was texting me saying where am I?
Yeah, what's going on?
What about you, Carlo? Have you been up to much?
Work, more work. I'm off now. That's it. And obviously, I've got a long weekend, haven't I? Because it's a bank holiday Monday. So
how are the shoulders, Carlo, from carrying Barnsley on them?
Yeah, they're hurting. My boss watches this.
Also on the show, we have once again an absolute pleasure, Rory Fallon. How are you, Rory?
Good. Thanks for having me again.
No problem. How's your week been? You been all right?
Yeah, it's been good. Just loads of training and just catching up on like work and stuff that you don't usually get to do.
When you said training, you mean personal training?
So personal training. Yeah, I have a lad that's living with me at the moment. He's from New Zealand. His dad sent him over, and pretty much I'm coaching him for 6 months. Pretty much coaching him every day, and then we're going to send him back over to America. So he's got an American scholarship for football.
Wow.
So, yeah, just putting him through his paces, really.
That's good. Yeah, he's got a good coach. How old is he, Rory?
He's 21 now.
What?
All right.
Prime,
21.
Prime age.
So you what?
He's a prime age for that badge now, 21.
Yeah, definitely.
Is he a striker, Rory, just like yourself?
Yeah, he's number 9. So yeah, just showing him all the techniques and stuff like that. But it takes a lot longer for a target man. It takes longer to develop, so he's got a bit of time on his hands. You know, he's got time to develop into that. Just for some reason, goalkeepers and number 9s just seem to take longer to develop.
Really, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's just because the way they play, you're not facing play. Well, keepers obviously just they seem to get better with age.
Yes,
and so do number 9s because it just you're playing it. Your back's to play.
Yeah, what happened to
John
Parkin?
See what's behind you.
What happened to John Parkin then? Because he never really got any better, did he?
He was good, John. I thought he was really good, mate.
I spoke to him on Monday about. Yeah, I had a call with him on Monday. He came on to our question of sport that I do with my friends, and he was really funny. Really funny, some great stories. Funny man.
He's an absolute character, that kid.
Yeah, I messaged him earlier. He's been struggling with his internet. I'm going to try and get him on to today's episode, but we'll have to do that one another time, Rory.
Yeah, that's fine.
On a serious note then, Rory, I mean, you talked about obviously this young lad that's going to America. Football in a bit of a conundrum, I suppose you can say at the moment. There seems to be a consensus that League One and Two in England have sort of said, this is it, we can't really afford to play anything. That season's gone. Premier League and Championship teams have met up again for the testing and everything that's been happening, and lots of different opinions are coming out over what are we going to do with the rest of the season. I'm not going to put you on the walk about, but as a player, do you think after having 12 weeks off, looking at the Barnsley players, is it something you can get back into? Or after such a long period and self-isolating and not training? Or how would you view that?
For one, you should never go out of fitness as a professional footballer.
True, yeah.
I'm a coach. I'm training twice a day because obviously there's loads of time. We've got so much time in the day. There's no excuses not to train. So that's one that is definitely not. You should be going back and fit.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to. You should be self-sufficient. You should be ready to go. So if they would only need probably a week or so just to get up to speed in training. Yeah. That's if they've looked after themselves, eating the right things, all that type of stuff. It's complete focus, And there's obviously the ones that come in that aren't up to scratch. They just don't play. Yeah. They got to go into a pre-season.
What has your fitness twice a week been looking like then, Rory? What have you been up to? Is it a lot of cycling, lots of running, or is it home workout in the gym, stuff like that?
So every day it's gym. It's like strength work, and then I'll do technique work with David. So we'll work on football, but a lot of that would be there'll be fitness involved in that kind of stuff. So it's a mixture really, but it's one of them things where there are no excuses as a professional footballer. You're getting paid a lot of, well, especially the Premier League lads are still getting paid.
Yeah.
So to have footballers not training, it's unheard of. You just can't do it.
Is it a different type of fitness? Because when I've not played, it's a different ball game and time. But when I've not played for 6, 7, 8 weeks before I go back, obviously I'm nowhere near as fit. But I still feel like there's some rust that needs knocking off.
Yeah, there's training fitness, and then there's match fitness. So obviously, a lot of the players coming back, the match fitness won't be there because it's just you can't train for that. The only way you get match fitness is by playing matches. So that's the only way that that's the only thing that would probably be down. But with running fitness, strength fitness, it should be up. Yeah. In fact, they should be stronger. They should be a lot stronger. And if they've looked after themselves with the food and stuff, I can't see why they would put on weight as well.
And then, of course, as well as a player, so the fitness should be there because, it's right, isn't it? Initially, everybody had that hour exercise, although I know a lot of the players will have a garden big enough to be able to exercise in there as well. Then we have the whole conundrum of, do we play, well, it looks like something behind closed doors, and how, as a professional, have you ever played any games sort of behind closed doors with no fans? And what is the difference? Because there's one camp that says, for Barnsley, for instance, well, pressure's off, isn't it? Maybe that's really positive. Yeah. But then on the other side, I think, footballers always come out saying, you're the 12th man. And then I think, go on.
Football without fans is no football. Yeah. Like, you can't, it's not the same. But for this, for what's going on at the moment, it just has to be, because obviously with COVID-19 and all the things that are popping around that, you can't have the fans in there. But it's just, I almost feel like we need to maybe just have a month of football and just wait till the very end. Maybe say like, what would be the end of the season? Usually end of May, isn't it? Is the end of the season, yeah. And then
this is normally the weekend for the playoffs.
Yeah, it's usually the playoff weekend.
You might even need just a month of you get all the games in a month. It's not unheard of. Tournament football, you're playing 2 games, 3 games in a week. Yeah. It can be done. It has been done before. Obviously, without the fans, it's not great because it's just the atmosphere is not there. But in Germany, they've done it. But there was one going back to your question, I have played behind closed doors, and it is horrific. It is like, but it's just got to be done. There was one time where we were supposed to play a closed door game, New Zealand versus Chile, and Chile ended up bringing up like 20,000 fans.
Right.
And there was like cameras everywhere. It was live in Chile. So there's supposed to be no cameras, no fans, just to work on our teams. The place was packed. It was jumping, flares going off.
That's going to be our version of that, Chris. We'll get all the listeners and our Twitter followers. We'll get them all, and we'll stand behind that closed door.
Goodness, does it surely has an effect on adrenaline and ability to, I don't know, rile yourself up for the game?
Yeah, for a player like me, the more fans, the better I played. I always felt like that. The higher the stakes, the more pressure, the more fans. I always felt like I got the best out of myself. Yeah. And then say I'd play in reserve games, I'd be horrific.
Yeah, I mean,
because it's just the adrenaline and it's just not the same. It's not the same game.
The kicks and the hurts and the injuries don't hurt half as much, so you don't feel it at all. I play on a Sunday morning in front of like 40 people.
And you feel every kick.
No, we're fine. We're fine. That's enough for me, Rory. That's perfect.
Yeah,
I'm playing in front of 40 friends that want to win the game, want us to win the game. And then I play on a Monday night in front of nobody. And even just that difference of 40 people, so I can't imagine what it's like playing in front of tens of thousands and then playing in front of nobody.
100%, that's right. But the only thing I'd say, I would be for me, I'd be happy because obviously Plymouth Argyle would go up.
Yeah. Yes.
We would go automatic. We would jump over because Exeter's ahead of us, but we would jump over them with what the stats they're doing. And Exeter would end up being in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But my only I don't mind all the promotions. My only problem is the relegations.
Right.
Because the relegation teams have a chance to get out of their predicament. Mm. And that's the only thing that I would say I don't like that rule.
Yeah.
Just that fact.
Yeah.
If Barnsley, when we're going down and they have 8 games, 10 games, whatever, to save themselves, you would back yourself to try and get out of that in 10 games or 9 games.
Numerous times. Sorry, Carlo.
Yeah, we just said this, didn't we, before the interview? If you look at a weighted point system, the first 14 games when we had the previous manager, a win and a draw. That's all we got. The new guys come in. So if you take it on since he's come in, we'd probably need to climb out if you include all the games. But a few years ago, Leeds were in front by, I think, 5 points. They ended up going to the playoffs and not making it. So a lot can happen in 9 games, isn't it? And
massive.
And I think the drop from the Championship into League One, and that's no disrespect to any team or anything, but the loss in revenue money, massive. I think there is a real danger of League Two and League One clubs struggling to even be in business next season.
It's a game changer because everyone's prepped and everyone's ready for those 9 games. All of a sudden, the rug's been taken from under you, and you're preparing your mind for a relegation battle. 9 games, yep, you fancy it. I think any team that's not too far away from the drop zone would fancy themselves to get out of that with 9 games or however games left.
I mean, the way that Barnsley have played under Gerhard Struber, we've gone on 2 good runs where we've put a spurt of good results together, where we've won 3 in a row, picked up a few draws out. We've done that twice.
Yeah.
And they were like 6 and 7 game spurts. If we put a spurt on, we'd be out.
You could go on a run. The other teams could start falling by the wayside. There's so much that goes off in those 9 games. The pressure that can sometimes, the most experienced team would get out of that. Because and the team that's on a roll, especially our Plymouth team, we were on a roll. We were flying. I almost felt like we were going to kick on even further. Yeah. Obviously, we're in a good spot because we're near the top. But I just feel for those teams near the bottom that if they're affected by it, it could potentially finish teams off.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Hull City in Championship; they would effectively stay up by by benefiting from players that they had previously to January, right? But they've sold two of the best players, and they've absolutely plummeted like a stone.
Couldn't buy them.
It's a different squad.
100%. 100%. If you even look at Liverpool, Liverpool were the last few games they lost.
Yeah.
Like everyone's saying they're going to win, but you just don't know. Football is one of the funniest games you can imagine, and mad things happen, crazy things happen, and without knowing those games and those results, you can't honestly say they're going to win the league.
Well, we go back to 2016 when Barnsley were at bottom at Christmas, and with 9 games to go, I think we were in 11th place or something like that. At the end, we went up through the playoffs and we won at Wembley and we were promoted. So I think there is no right formula to try and work out what would have happened, because hence my stance, and everybody's on their own. To me, you play the season and you play all the games, or you don't. But I think it's very harsh on and of course I would say it as a Barnsley fan, for a mathematician to sit there thinking, we'll use this algorithm and this is what would have happened, because like you say, you can't, can you? Because
that's a very educated phone you've got there, Carlo. Have you just been... So, Rory, last week we were talking about all sorts and all different parts of your career. I'm sure that we could do 20 podcasts and still not cover every inch. It's been very storied. A few things that stuck out in my mind. We never really talked about the World Cup as a whole. We talked about you getting the team there, but never really experienced a been there. I mean, I'm not sure when the next time is we'll have a player on the Reds Report that's represented his team in a World Cup. So, I mean, what was that like, going there with your nation?
Well, the first thing is, obviously, my dad took the first team to the World Cup in '82. And then we've had to wait, it's 27 years, so 30 years of waiting. The whole country is pretty much, they've washed their hands with it and just thought, well, even me, like, I never, ever thought in a million years that I'd play in a World Cup.
Yeah.
But the two things I always wanted to do was be a pro in England and play in a World Cup. Obviously, I thought the World Cup thing was just the impossible dream. But I knew that eventually, if I worked hard, I'd play in England, and I did all that. But to have that opportunity to play in a World Cup was just, when people ask, what was it like? You can't compare it to anything. It's because it's one of them things. It's your Everest. It's like someone that wants to be a climber and they hit the peak of Everest. You can't explain it until you actually go through it. But when when I look back at it, I just think, when I was in that tunnel for Slovakia, so, when we're walking out and you're hearing the music, I'm just thinking, wow. I was like, I used to watch these. Like, I would get up and I would be watching these. I remember the last World Cup was 1990 that I remembered.
Right.
So that was my last World Cup that I actually remembered watching. And from then on, it was just like, I watched everyone, and we got spoiled for World Cups, didn't we? Leading up to all them.
Yeah.
And it was just like, man, instead of me watching on TV, I'm actually in it. Yeah. I was just like, my head was spinning a bit, because when I was walking out, I was just like, I was proper fanboy, because I love watching World Cups. Like, it's my thing. So when I was just walking out, my head was spinning a bit. Really, I was got to be honest. I was in a daze.
Yeah. You mentioned, I need to take this opportunity while I can. You mentioned remembering the 1990 World Cup was your first international tournament you can remember. Mine was Euro 1996, which, funny enough,
that was a great tournament.
They've been showing repeats on TV. I don't know if you've noticed, Rory.
Brilliant tournament.
I watched the repeat last week, Rory, of Holland versus England, funny enough.
I need to.
Great game.
Teddy Sheringham absolutely ripped Holland to pieces.
Yeah, it was quality.
Who's laughing now?
Me, just me. Did you watch that, Carl? Did you get round to?
No, I mean, my first sort of proper memory of football, tournament football, for me was the 1988 European Championship in Holland.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I've won, because Holland's always
Van Basten goal.
Yes, the header.
What a finish!
Yeah, and I think Holland is sort of like very hot and cold on the football stage. We had a couple of World Cups where we did really well. We got to the final. or they start arguing amongst themselves and they leave in the group stages, or they don't even qualify. Because Holland's always had brilliant individuals, but not much of a team. Because during the heydays, every single player was the star player at whatever club they were at. And then you brought them together and the egos in the dressing room. So 1988, that was for me.
It's funny that you remember that, Carlo. And you remember that tournament first. And isn't that weird that you remember that one?
Yeah, one that won it.
Yeah, 1988 were a great year as well, Carlo, because your podcast partner were born.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
That shows it, doesn't it? I got arrested by Dutch police at 16 because I was slightly intoxicated and in charge of a bicycle, and they told me to walk it home.
Just bring it back then to current times, Rory. Do you think that if the leagues are to be played in upcoming weeks, upcoming months, it's going to have a little bit of a feel of a World Cup or a Euros about it? Because obviously normal life don't really exist when you go out and travel out of New Zealand. You're in that bubble, aren't you? You're not out shopping. You're not out doing anything. You're kind of all in a hotel together. And do you think it's going to be similar to that? I mean, how did you cope in that environment?
I think the problem is logistics as well, because if you say you have a game at Barnsley, everyone's going to congregate around the Barnsley Stadium.
Yeah.
So it's almost they have to change venues as well. So it's going to be a logistical nightmare. But I honestly think they should turn it 9 games or however many games and just turn into tournament football and just bang the games out as quick as possible.
Yeah.
And then obviously, you might go into the new season, you might have to get rid of the League Cup or something, all the extra games in the new season. Obviously keep your FA Cup and your league games, but there might have to be cups where you might have to just LDV or whatever that's called now.
Leasing trophy. I was about to say the leasing trophy.
Yeah, those trophies, I think you'd have to put them on the back burner.
I mean, that's not been worth winning since it were a paint trophy, Carl, in 2016. We might as well just leave it with us, mightn't we?
The team that did the double that year, wasn't it?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I know what you mean.
I think those trophies, I think you have to play FA Cup because the tradition of it is just such a massive, it's one of the oldest traditions of English football. But I think the other cups, I think you need to just let them go. I even think stuff like Champions League, it's for me, I want to see the champions play in the Champions League.
Yeah.
They used to do, just the champions, no seconds and stuff like that, no qualifiers, just straight champions play in the Champions League.
Yeah, it might have to be that next season, might it?
And just lessen the games, because there's too many games.
Yeah.
Obviously, they'd lose revenue, but it's I just think it'd be more exciting if you just had the champions in there.
Yeah, and this is the worrying point from mine, Chris's, football fans in general, I suppose, is we need to get over this hurdle of how do we finish the season, what's going to happen. Once that decision's been made, my mind's already going. I said to Chris earlier, I very much doubt that before December we'll be able to sit with 12, 13,000 fans in the stadium to watch a team.
No.
And that in itself, that's going to change the face of football. Some might say on a Tuesday night when you play, I don't know, some team, we've had them, haven't we? Who did you play? Can't remember. On a Tuesday night, you could do social distancing in the Barnsley Stadium when only 3,000 people turn up. That would be possible. But it's going to change the face of football, isn't it? And people ultimately will lose their job. Maybe not players, but clubs will have a lot less income because people are not there. They're not, buying the pint, buying the pie, buying a program and everything else. And it's going to have an impact for the next 3-4 years, isn't it? At least. I
think so. It's going to be quite difficult, but also hoping that there's we get a breakthrough. Yeah. Do you know, and I think everyone's hoping for a breakthrough so we can get on with life. But if there's no breakthrough, it could take a while. But obviously, all the businesses are starting to change the way they work as well.
Yeah.
When you're lining up, you line up with 2 yards behind you. It might have to be a case where if you do have stuff like that everything's done according to the rules. So I'd be more than happy
to sit on alternate seats at Oakwell.
The problem is the players.
Needed.
Yeah. That's the problem is the players, because you got for a header or you're man marking someone. That's the problem.
Well, it's the Troy Deeney saying, I can't go for a haircut, but I can tussle for a header in the area with 7-8 other players. Where is the reasoning in that?
And of
then
course,
I don't want to catch something and take it home to a family and people with young children, Rory, yourself. So there's a lot. It's not just about the games, isn't it? It is about the safety ultimately of everybody involved in that game. Primarily, that is club staff and players, officials, before they even can think of the fans, isn't it?
100%. And it's how can you get around the actual playing aspect of it? You can't. No. And it really comes down to that, because the fans, you can separate the fans. You can separate them when they're going for their pie or the bovril or whatever they're going for, but you can't separate players. Yep. So and for me, it comes really down to your family. Do I want to put my family in jeopardy? And that's no. Yeah. Especially when you have a young family, you don't want to do that. And I've got friends in America who are coaches. They don't want to go back coaching in America, but the American system is like, you're going back. Yeah. And there's no two ways about it. You either work or you move on. Yeah. So what do you do?
Scary time.
There was an idea floated about on social media that I saw yesterday, and I thought, initially I thought, nah. And I thought, I wonder if at some point, they're going to close games off for away supporters. So 12,000 Barnsley fans can fill all 3 stands in Barnsley. But you know what I mean? So be home supporters to be able to distance maybe more, and maybe that's a way forward for. But but
like they did with the blow-up dolls in the stadium. Did you see that recently with the blow-up dolls?
Oh my goodness!
Exactly like that.
I tell you what, at the start of the season, we could have done with one of those at centre half. We might not be in this predicament that we're in now.
Would have won more headers.
What about? We're using some philosophy and thoughts about. What about the young ones that you're involved with? What is their views? Because kids are innocent, aren't they? They're often very not cruel, but they're open and very honest. They're staying at home. Maybe mum and dad are key workers, or maybe they're working from home. Their life's changed. They're not going to school. Is football a really good thing? I've seen you on your Facebook. You're doing your exercises. You're doing your Zoom. You've got your academy going. That's really important, I suppose, isn't it, for these? But my youngest daughter sings with the Barnsley Youth Choir. They have Zoom rehearsals with 140 kids because it gives them something positive to think about. Football takes on another role almost, doesn't it, for the young ones that you're coaching?
100%, because you've got, obviously I had a coach when I was younger, and I felt like if I didn't have my dad, would I have been the player I am, or would I have that longevity in the game? So I'm thinking, what can I do to help the kids to maybe keep on top of their skills? So I thought, let's do a Facebook group. So at least they're keeping on top of their skills, and they're focusing in, and it gives them something to work towards. And they have kind of a digital coach, as you would say.
Yeah.
There's some handy.
Keep them ticking over, and keep them focused.
Our other friends that come on the show quite often, Jimmy Whitehead and Martin Devaney, they're doing the exact same with their academy. They're keeping on top of it, aren't they, Carl? We've seen them using Zoom and stuff, which is really good.
It is, and I think it's good for the skills. Undoubtedly, it's good for fitness, because you see a lot of children with mental health problems, and it goes to eating, sitting in, watching TV. So I think even for the mental health, having something to look forward to that day. Because a kid at 12, 13, 14, what do you look forward to? Finishing school. Today's Friday. We're waiting till 3:30 so I can go home and lake out with mates. And at least you can just imagine these kids saying, I've got a class with Rory in half an hour, you know what I mean?
I'm saying with you, Carlo. I always look forward to podcasts with you all week. Yes. I always think, I see Carlo.
No, but if you have something to look forward to, it just makes you a little bit happier with what's going on, because it's very uncertain times for everyone. So if you can, give back and try and help out some people along the way, even if you help one person, that you've done your job. But I tend to do it on Monday, because obviously Mondays, everyone has that psychological, it's Monday. So I do it on Mondays, and obviously Friday you're excited because it's coming up to the weekend. Obviously we don't have that type of working week at the moment, do we? We were like, oh, it's Monday, I've got to work. It's like, we don't have to go to work at the moment.
Yes.
But it's psychological, I think, and it's good for people to look forward to something.
Yeah.
As small as that is.
100%. My daughter, my daughter's wife's in the Navy, so they live down in Portsmouth. So we brought in Tuesday night, 7:30, a family quiz on WhatsApp. I sit in this room.
Yeah.
My son's in his bedroom there. My daughter in the bedroom there. My wife's downstairs. They're in Portsmouth.
Brilliant.
I'm quick because it normal video calls are great, but it's like, I'm worried about this, worried about that. Just talking about and having a laugh. And I think something to raise a laugh and do something. And it keeps your mind sort of, because it goes into both at times, doesn't it?
Yeah, it keeps your mind off what's going off. You know, recently I've stopped watching the news.
Oh yeah.
Because for me, my head's spinning. So we've purposely taken off the news. We watch what we need to watch, you know, the important announcements and stuff, but then everything, like, turn it off, because obviously, like, mentally you can be affected by it.
I have to say,
you know, it's fair that's coming out of the lips of people. So you're taking that in, and you're starting to breed it in your mind. It's very much like football. You have people constantly hammering you, and you take that stuff in.
Yeah.
That's why when I was a player, I never used to go on Twitter, Instagram, and all that. I used to come off it, because if you read that stuff, you start believing it.
Yeah, I have to say, I feel extremely privileged. I work for a charity, and obviously I'm contracted to the youth offending team. Every day we get there's 135 staff. Every day we get an email from our director. Once a week we get a care package. I got a care package again today. It was a shoebox size, and it was a fidget spinner, a stress ball. We got some little candles. What else was there? Oh, a pair of socks. And he sort of said, just relax. This will all blow over. We don't know when, but we're just happy you work for us. And it's those little sort of things that normally...
Was that on the socks, Carlo?
Well, they don't fit me, because, you know... But just something positive, because you can get very bogged down watching the news, watching Piers Morgan on Good Morning Britain hammering this, and I get it, and there's a place for that. But when
I can't watch that stuff.
No, when that's all you see, you become very negative yourself. And I think as adults, having my 16-year-old at home, she very much looks at me as how I handle it. And if I show that it's really bothering me, that's going to have an impact on her. So when it's
100%.
Fancy a game of darts in the garden, just put some music on. Let's just throw some. I'm shocking at it. I thought I might be good being Dutch, but no. But it's just something to change, you know, your mindset, and I think that's what's needed, definitely.
As Carlos said, I'm also real lucky with employment and stuff. Some people are not so lucky, are they?
Exactly.
My employment's looked after me quite a lot. Some not so. You mentioned social media and stuff like that. What a tool to use, Zoom, Facebook, and Twitter, and just nice to keep in touch with people. It's funny because I had you on last week, Rory, and then I got some message off some friends who used to live over the road from me, and they now live in Scotland, and they've always been massive Aberdeen fans. And they were just like, "Oh, Rory Fallon, apparently they asked me to ask you about a ridiculously good goal that you scored for Aberdeen.
To be fair, I scored quite a few good goals at Aberdeen, but they're probably talking about...
Not to be big-headed, but I got loads of good goals at Aberdeen.
I won't be able to fit through the door soon.
Go on, do you want to talk us through some of them? Can you remember?
But the main one's probably... The one they're talking about is the Scottish Cup semi-final when I scored a volley. I think it was about maybe 20 to 30 yards out.
Okay.
That's the one they're talking about, I think.
What's the other one, do you think, is up there with that?
So I always seem to score a lot against Motherwell and loads of volleys against them. So a right foot volley, a left foot volley, and also a goal against Kilmarnock when I lobbed the keeper with a volley. So I scored quite a few volleys around that time. But you want to go on?
No, go on. You're all right. Carry on.
It was just one of them things where everything seemed to, you hit it and everything seems to go in. It's just so. Yeah, it was one of them times.
Like a bit of a purple patch, isn't it?
You are?
Purple patch strikers, isn't it? That's what you need.
Yeah, it's just sometimes you go for hellish, barren spells, and but it's the mentality. It's like what we're saying, you just keep away. If you're feeling if you're feeling not confident, the last thing you do is go on Twitter and read the fans. Read the fan comments.
Yeah. The problem is every single fan is almost like either a professional footballer themselves or they're a football manager wannabe. Why are they putting him here? Why are they putting him there? I've said so many times to people, but they say, why are they putting him here? I'm like, this is a 90-minute match. They've trained for a week. I'm sure you need to have faith in somebody at some point. So just trust that he's chosen. And if they've said about it, why is he playing there? And then they score 3 goals, suddenly they go really quiet, don't they?
Yeah.
And I think we're now in a stage where you can literally pick your phone up, you can aim a message at somebody and be extremely rude. Rules always been for us, if you can't say it to all, in front of the face, then don't say it on social media, because it's a way of a cop-out, isn't it? Is that something that you have to talk about with your young sort of players as well? Because it's that sort of professional behaviour. And I suppose, when kids go up to 11, 12, 13, they go to the secondary school, suddenly they all get a phone because mum wants them to be safe on the bus back from home. Then social media starts creeping in. And it's a real divider almost, isn't it? It's good to have a phone, but it can do a lot of damage as well, can't it? Social media.
Yeah, just going back to the first question about the fans, they pay to have that opinion. So for me, I never had a problem with that. But it's like, obviously, as a player, you've got to take yourself away from it, because obviously, what I found in my career, you get people that love you, you get people that hate you, and that's it. And you're gonna get people that. And usually the negative ones are going to say something, and the ones that love you, you don't see those comments.
No. Well, I hated you. Sorry, I loved you to start with, Rory. Then I hated you for a few years, and now I love you
again. You're back loving me again.
Yeah.
He's like that.
But I sometimes go on, because it's a happier place for me now, Twitter, because I'm not playing anymore. Those types of things, Facebook and all that, I can go on there now and just not worry about it. But I sometimes go on, like, say, Ronaldo page or Messi page, and you're getting people hammering them. And I'm thinking, I was just thinking, wow, if these people are actually hammering probably the 2 greatest players that have ever walked the earth, then I look at myself and think, what have I got to worry about?
Yeah.
Because
you've got a Pele picture behind you, I can see.
Yeah.
You generally believe that Ronaldo and Messi top Pele?
So I got Pele and Maradona next to him. But for me, Maradona is still number 1.
What, above Messi and Ronaldo?
Yeah. They got to win a World Cup. Back in the day, you used to go on World Cup wins, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Pele was number 1, obviously, because there's 3 World Cups, unprecedented. And then obviously Maradona with the 86 World Cup, I think in Argentina, people still love Messi and Maradona, but Maradona in their hearts is still number 1 because he brought them that World Cup.
I'm a Ronaldo man, if I'm honest. I think what Ronaldo's done at club level, at different clubs, in different countries, he's been successful. And what I like about Ronaldo is whenever he plays for Portugal, he plays with, I'm going to say, some average players. However, they're playing for an international team, so they're not average, are they? Probably average at that level. Some of them play, way below his level at club level. But I always feel like they all raise the game with him.
Yeah.
He dragged them to Euro wins, hasn't he? He didn't play in the Euro final, did he? But he dragged them there. And I just think the belief of having him on the team just raises everybody.
I agree with you. I think club level, they're the 2 greatest players ever walking the earth. No one's probably won as much, and do you know what I mean? They've been in the best teams club-wise, but I think World Cup-wise and country-wise, they're not the best.
Yeah.
And Messi had a chance to win the World Cup, and they blew it.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel if Maradona played in that team, I think he would have galvanized them to that win. He's a lead. He's one of them team leaders, a captain that they believe. Well, look at Michael Jordan, exactly like that.
Yeah,
that documentary is ridiculously
that
good.
Documentary is brilliant. Like,
have you started watching it, Carlo?
No.
Well, listen, you've got a bit of time now, and you've got a bit of
got
time.
To watch it.
Unbelievable.
That's someone who drives people to success.
Yeah.
No matter how he does it, whether it be him bullying people or him showing people how he's playing, or getting all the points, he's one of them guys that galvanizes people, drives people to success.
We've moved on to international football, and obviously we've talked about the World Cup. We just got onto it last week, but we ran out of time. You're part of the international setup now at New Zealand.
Yeah.
What's your role there? What's it like? What kind of players make up that squad? Some of them, I think, played with you, didn't they, really, as youngsters in the New Zealand setup? Are you enjoying that?
so there's players that I still played in the same teams with. So people like Winston Reid, Chris Woods, they were part of the first, World Cups, playoffs and stuff like that. Probably Woodsy's probably the longest serving. Obviously, there's a couple of lads as well. Michael McGlinchey, who played in Scotland. He played for, I think he was at Celtic for a bit and then came to Australia. Tommy Smith is still in the squad. He's still playing in England. So we still got a few lads in there. I was involved as well in the Mexico playoffs and the Peru playoffs. So there's lads in there. So it's pretty much a group that's getting towards peak age as well. So we've got a few good players. We've got another lad called Supreet Singh who's playing in Bayern Munich.
Right. Okay.
So he's a great little player, but obviously he's not broken into the first team, but he's playing in the reserves, and he's been tipped to be the next to be pushed in.
To the next Rory Fallon.
He's a different player to me. He's more technical, like midfielder, little like weaves through people and stuff like that. Yeah, different kettle of fish, And then a lad called Ryan Thomas who plays in Holland as well.
He'll be good.
He's a very good player. For me, he's one of our best players. He is a very good. You can tell he's been in Holland, the way he's been taught and stuff. The technical, just the way he turns with the ball, it's just they seem to do it right in Holland. I don't know what they do over there. I'd love to go over there and watch training and stuff like that if I had time. But the way they do it over there is just like they just teach him so well, technically advanced.
My dad played one season of professional football, and it was the first season of professional football in Holland. And in fact, he scored a goal.
Are you Dutch, Carlo?
I never played football. I played tennis. I played tennis for quite some time. Then when the Fitzred started in Holland, here in Barnsley, I took him over to Holland, which is 5 years ago today that we went. And it was always my dad's biggest ever wish to see me playing football. So we played against his old club. This was the club that he was played with when he was the first year of being professional. My dad wasn't well already at that time, and he was sat in his wheelchair at the sideline, cigar. And my son was playing as well. Now, my son is, my son will have been 20, 21 at the time. And half time, I think we were 3-1 down or something, because we were all over 40s. It was like a men's health scheme. They were proper ex-vets. They used to play. They took it very seriously. So everybody goes for a half-time drink. I thought I'll nip over to my dad, took my lad with me. He says, so Dad, what do you reckon? And he just looked at me, he says, now I understood why you played tennis. But he did always say, when he's come over, when my son was playing, he was always surprised that here we play matches on the 9s, on the 10s, on the 11s, because in Holland, it's all about technique and learning at least 2 positions in the field. And then from, I think it's on the 14s upwards, then they start playing sort of matches. So they have a very different view, I suppose, on how to develop sort of the youngsters. But yeah, it's
see, I always believe in having 2 positions as well. For me as a player, I was always a forward, but I feel if I probably worked a little bit on centre back as well, I think I could have got more years maybe dropping back to centre back. Because obviously, because I was so forward orientated that I felt like if I maybe worked on it a bit, that someone would, say, look, when you get to the later years of your career, you could drop back and have more time in playing the game. But I always try and push a couple of positions. Yeah,
there's still more time to play the game yet, Rory. Us at Reds Report, we usually have 1 charity game per year for Barnsley and Rotherham Mind. So at some point we will be playing that. So there will be a number 9 shirt with your name on it, Rory. If you fancy, or you can play at centre back with Johnny Parkin. It's entirely up to you.
The cigar out, just get the cigar out and play it centre back.
We'll get Colin to be manager.
Oh, yeah.
Get
That'd
Cole
be-
out there. Get him up front. Get 3 up front.
Yeah. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Rory, I think we've covered a lot more ground than what we did last. I mean, last week were an absolute whirlwind. There's just so much in you. It's unbelievable.
We said it straight away, didn't we? It needs to be a two-parter because there was so much to the left unsaid.
Yeah.
And wanted to hear. So, yeah.
It's just been a much more relaxed episode today. We've not had to rush through things. It's been much nicer. Please come back on again. Obviously, this show happens every week, regardless of whether there's football or not. When football comes back, we will be talking about the current games. That'll be good to have you on and talk about Barnsley's results and things like that. So you're more than welcome.
Well,
back on.
Barnsley today announced that 3 young have signed the first professional contract, and I think it's great at a time when everything is really dark and ugly and there is no football. That for those 3. I mean, what a day that is to sign your first.
Life-changing for them.
Yeah, and I think for the club to commit to that, and we know with the board that they're very much focused on younger players. And I suppose if you want to survive, I suppose it's much easier to plough thousands and thousands in a really good academy than keep going and bringing other players on with agents' fees and everything else. So that's definitely the way forward. And for those...
Well, you've got to protect your assets. You've got to protect your youth. If you've got good players, you have to sign them up because there's clubs out there always sniffing and wanting to take youth on, especially Premier League clubs. They want to take youth for cheap.
Well, look at the last time we brought a player from Plymouth. He was the captain at the time, I believe, wasn't he? And Conor Horan did very good for Plymouth, very highly regarded. Captain,
good player.
One of my other favourites in a Barnsley shirt. He's gone on to Villa and do, great things. And so, the link is there, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we had you on last week, Rory. And obviously we talked about Room 102. This week, just going to put you right on the spot here. Get ready for this. I want you to name your top 3 striking partners throughout your career. So we're not looking at the best players, but the 3 where you think I've linked it well with them. They're good partnerships.
I'd say the 2 best probably players. One of them was probably Jermaine Defoe.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So when I was playing in England, in the youth groups, he was there. And another really good player who I played with was Leon Knight.
Right. Okay.
Decent names there, isn't there?
It was a great finisher. He was a great finisher.
And what about them
2? Do you know? I've played with loads of players. I've also got like the lads I played with New Zealand as well that were Woodsy and Smeltsy and Chris Killen. Like just the amount of players I've played with up front. But I would say probably the biggest one would probably be the most famous one would probably be Defoe.
Yeah. Is he the one that you want to link up with? I mean, I got a text off Andy, who's Barnsley FC stats, and he was telling me the list of players you played with up front with at Barnsley, and it's a ridiculous list.
There's some quality players there, Bruce Dyer, Mike Sheeran, Ranks,
Isaiah
Betsy.
Ranks.
Yeah, Betsy. Who else? I'm missing out a couple here.
Did you say Sharon? He said Sharon.
I said Mike Sheeran, yeah.
Bruce Dyer's what a ridiculous,
good player.
Unbelievable.
Bruce, yeah, I used to clean his boot. I was his boot boy.
Okay.
I was Bruce's boot boy.
Really? That's brilliant. What a story. And then did you end up playing up front with him? What was he like to play? Because you two are really physical.
Yeah, my breakthrough season, I was playing up front with Brucey.
Unbelievable.
And he's become, as yourself, because I suppose he's settled in the area. He's doing a lot of faith-related work. But he also went to Groundthorpe and bought the recreation ground and got football back on that ground. And, he's putting much back. So I think he's very, very highly regarded. I mean, as a player he was. And then also the personal journey, I suppose, that he made.
Yeah.
Reminded me a little bit of Harry's Heroes. I don't know if you watched it this week with...
I saw it. It's good, man. It was good.
Lee Henry with sort of his backstory and everything.
Really good.
An absolutely fantastic team, because we always talk about professional football, and they are, because they play football for there's people behind there. And if you look at Paul Merson, people that have had their own struggles, Razor Ruddock obviously having a pacemaker fitted, and I think Bruce overcoming, moving away from London because it was a very negative influence on him, and coming up north and settling and still doing a lot for the community. So yeah, he's he's got to go down as one of the club legends. Surely someone that, scores all them goals with a club, they really should have got promotion with Bassett.
because he was in that team, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And lucky not to go up to the Premier League with that team, but also just like the stuff he does for the Barnsley community is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that for me is probably means more than anything. Like, you know, he's still ploughing his heart and soul into that community. Whereas I think that means even more sometimes in scoring loads of goals, because he's trying to help the future of, you know, of Barnsley kids out there.
Yeah. But I suppose it's very similar for you in Plymouth, isn't it? Working with that younger generation, being that role model, showing that role model behaviour, and obviously for New Zealand as well. And it's really weird because we've had some legends that have gone on to become agents. If you look at Brian Howard, who's obviously he's an agent.
I play with Brian. Quality lad.
And then you've also got people like A.D. Moses sort of earlier on that have gone into like financial accounting and all that sort of completely moved away from football and now goes and sits in the stand and enjoys it as a fan and as a dad with his kids. But yeah.
Well, I tried to get away from football, but it just dragged me back in.
And then there's
some players that when you do play, there are some players that just hate playing football though. Like you don't realise, like there are a lot of players that just are mercenary and just do it for a job because they're good at it. And then you get the ones that absolutely love it and have the passion for it. And for me, like I try to get away. It's really just grabbed me back in. Yeah,
the passion oozes through you, Roy, which is why we wanted you on for a second episode. It's very nice of you to do so, and hopefully you'll come back on again.
We'll do it next time. We'll come out and get Big Johnny Parker on.
Yeah, maybe we could get Bruce on as well. We'll have a strikers reunion. That'd be nice. Maybe you could play up front with Bruce as well for the charity game. That'd be good.
He'd still be able to play old Bruce, I reckon.
Oh yeah, definitely. Carlo, you might have to be assistant to Colin. I know a day's behind you, and you know Dutch football's not what it used to be.
If I walk up with my magic sponge, they'll soon get up and start running again. So there's a role for me, and more there will be.
Carlo's going to go into pre-season to get on that pitch. I hope.
I'll just 5 minutes. I'll do kick off, and that's it. And then I'm going straight to kick off, and I've done my bit.
Brilliant. Yeah, thank you very much, Rory. I've been Chris Ridyard. He's been Carlo van der Waterten. Thank you, Rory Fallon. Top